Okay. Call to order, adoption of agenda.
The council adopt the agenda as presented.
Second it.
All in favor? Adoption of minutes.
The council adopt the minutes from the December 5th, 2018 regular council meeting.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Number 4, introduction of late items, none, public hearing, none, delegation, 6.1 recommendation.
The council hear the delegations from school district trustees Chad Anderson and Travis Jones.
Can I get a seconder?
Second.
Stand up. Whatever, what are your eyes?
I only have to do that at my wedding, actually. Shall I start? Anyway, so my name is Chad Anderson, and I am with Travis. I'm one of the area 4 trustees for rural Dawson Creek, from the Alberta border to the East Pine River, and from the Peace River to Keller Lake. And so, yeah, we're honored to be with you tonight and give you a bit of an update, but we understood that you wanted a bit of an update on the space issues at the school, so we decided to bring the most expert person we could find, who happens to be our Secretary Treasurer, Melissa Cornelius. And I'll just introduce myself and get, I'm sure Travis to do the same, but anyway, with respect to the space issues at the school, I was just at the Christmas concert the other day, and you know, they have to shuffle kids in, shuffle kids out like smallish cattle, and anyway, it worked very well, but yeah, it's becoming perfectly clear that that building is very small for the job at this stage. And just to let you know, I have plenty of skin in the game. You'll have trouble beating this, finding anybody with more skin in the game. We've got 2 boys in the school and 3 more coming behind them, so this issue matters, and we'll be keeping close attention and look forward to working with you all the way to resolution, whatever that will be in the future. So.
Well, I'm Travis Jones. Chad and I are both actually, Bruce is one of the very probably lucky ones in a long time to have 2 representatives and trustees. Actually has connection to Poos, whereas before it was on the other side of town, so good for us. A little introduction is congratulations to all the new councillors and re-elects. As of we had a big changeover as well. So 5 out of 7 of our trustees were new this year, as well as 46% across the province. That being said, Chad and I will, as a board, want to say we look forward to fostering new friendship and a new partnership moving forward with the council and the board, because we don't know what the last board did, and we're just learning about new stuff with you guys going forward. That's about it.
I have one question. What is the role of the trustee? Are you the voice of the people that elected you in, or are you the voice of School District 59?
Yes. Very, very similar to how, the best way to look at it is very similar to how MLAs represent your area to the province. So we represent the rural districts to the board. However, we then, as a whole, more or less guide the strategic plan of the school district and any budgetary and any new stuff, any new business that comes up, it's as a board to direct the downward into the organization. Is there any questions?
Yeah, I think we're elected from wards. Obviously, the Village of Poos, I don't think has wards, ward system, but the school board does. But despite the fact that we come from a ward, when we arrive at the board table, we are to serve all students across the school district, of course. So.
And so while you represent the interest of your constituents and the electoral area that you're representative, you still need to make decisions that are in the best interest of the district as a whole and the students as a whole.
So, Melissa, can you give us some updates on our school?
Well, and so realizing that this is from a new board, well, primarily a new board here, I thought I would kind of take you back to last year and how we've progressed to where we are now and next steps. And we've had orientations with our new board, and that was one of the topics, bringing it up to speed. But I'm not sure if that's occurred for you guys, but, so why don't I do that and then we can kind of go from there. So this, the situation really started at the end of last school year. Kindergarten enrollment can occur, well, we have some kindergarten enrollments occurring now for next year, but they really vary and they start to stream in May and June, and even when we open schools a week early in August. So what happened was kindergarten enrollment started to come in May and June, and it was soon apparent, I would say in May, that the capacity of the school, we didn't have the room to enroll all the students, particularly the kindergartens in the school. So the message to those parents was that they would be going on a wait list, and that they would be, first of all, it was just that they were on a wait list, and then as it got closer to, and the wait list started to grow, there was the recommendation that they proceed to enroll in a school in Dawson, because we did give them that choice. They could go to any school. So if they waited to enroll at a school in Dawson, hoping to, whatever happened here, then they could miss out on the chance to go to the school they wanted to in Dawson. So with that, kind of rolling into June, we had a presentation from the village of Pouce-Coupe, and Rain was the main spokesperson with that at a board meeting, and really was showing her passion for obviously wanting the kids in your local community to be able to attend their community school, and I totally understand that and support that. So really that left that obviously the council was looking forward to hearing the solutions from the school district at the earliest opportunity. And so that was the beginning of June. So June 21st, and this is just kind of like the easiest way to kind of follow was the communication stream back and forth, because also the library board was involved as well. And so June 21st, we wrote back to the village of Pouce-Coupe. And really we could tell from the presentation that they are passionate about the municipality and your ability to grow, and the desire for the students to attend their community school. And also a recognition on the board's behalf that we want that to happen as well. So we threw out some different options. And so the option at the top of the list is to apply for a school expansion from the Ministry of Education. And so we did do that, but maybe I'll go through the other options so that we can kind of go from there. So the option is to purchase a portable classroom with the capital expansion and request. The first one is a permanent addition. So a portable, you obviously know what those are. And so that is another option, but there is no ministry funding to purchase a portable. The other option is a community partnership to fund a permanent expansion or portable classroom. The district is willing to work in partnership to fund a project in order to have the process really expedited, to not have to rely on the ministry. And then the fourth option, which we presented on a temporary basis, was to work collaboratively and use a space within the Pouce-Coupe Municipal Library on a temporary basis, so that that was the only solution that was feasible to have something done for September. And the board, obviously the ideal situation is a permanent addition, but while we recognize that's the ideal situation, it's also the ones that's greatest out of our control, because it's really in the hands of the ministry whether they're going to approve it or not. We also did kind of gave council kind of a preview of, or not, but awareness of what the province is looking like as a whole, because not sure if you're aware, but there were Supreme Court decisions and all related to class size, rules, and composition, and with that new language, the classroom space that was needed around the province-wide was enormous. And so there was portables on demand, and the expansion requests are also quite high, not only for, well, our district has this one project, but there's schools that would have 30 portables behind them. And so there, we need to realize the landscape that we're working in right now. So we had said that we're obviously willing to consider all possibilities, but that we wanted to work in a productive and supportive manner going forward. So really then what happened since that meeting, it was kind of a last minute impromptu meeting. Well, it wasn't, because I think POOS, the council, at the same time as obviously expressing their concerns to the district, they did express their concerns to the MLA, Mike Bernier. And so he initiated a meeting towards the later part of June that a few members from the council were able to attend, Mike Bernier, and actually the education critic from the Ministry of Education, Dan Davies from Fort St. John. And then it was a really late notification, and so only I was able to attend. I wasn't able to bring a trustee too.
I'll stop you there for a minute.
Yeah.
It was actually only supposed to be me and Mike.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then Mike got on the phone and called Dan,
Gotcha.
and then I got Chris on the phone and got as many counselors as possible, and then Chris talked to you that morning,
Yeah,
and I said, invite her.
yeah.
Invite her.
And that
So
was,
she knows what's going on too.
yeah, and that meeting was probably the best meeting that we really got clarity, because I think up till then there maybe had been some misinformation. But really, especially with Mike's history as he was at that point the previous Minister of Education. But somewhat presented, they were able to show or talk about the province and where they're at. And so what we did have going for us though is that capital expansion request is for a relatively small figure, and I have that and I can go through. But it's worth noting that the school district is willing to contribute 50% to that. And so when the ministry says to a school on an expansion or a new school, they obviously expect the district or school districts to help contribute, and they can expect up to 50, but they sometimes get opposition on that. But we said right away, we're going to cover 50, we're willing, we're not going to fight you on that, we have it. So hopefully it was just one more thing that maybe would check a box that it might come in our favor. So do you want to say anything else out of that meeting that happened?
We just all talked different, had different ideas,
Yeah.
bounced it off of each other, and then we decided to come up with splitting up the library. And
Yeah.
then we held a special meeting on, that was Thursday that we had them out here, and then Friday we had a special meeting and decided, yes, we'd give up part of the library and get the library on board, and then move forward.
Yeah, and I think another important thing that came out of that meeting that we probably need to improve, both on behalf of the school district as well as the council, as well as just an increased communication, and that was huge as well, because when we started telling students that they needed to explore other options for school, we didn't let the council know. And so we should have, and we're learning, and we've never been in this situation where we've had this, but we want to do better, and so we recognize that. As well as though there has been quite a bit of development in the city, or in the district, the village of Pouce Coupe, and maybe we weren't really brought into how much your growth is, and so definitely we need that communication to increase. So that was a positive out of that meeting as well.
I think it was every 6 months we decided.
Yeah, it doesn't, it's even nice to get out and see what everyone's up to, and yeah. And so really, then that week, the council, approved to use the 50% of the library space. And then really we needed to go down the next avenue to meet with the public library board, because they're also a third party that's kind of involved in this situation. And so I met with the library board, and they had some concerns, and we were able to address them all. And really, it happened rather quickly towards the end of June, and really they were building the new classroom in July and probably part of August, but it was up and running for September. So I'd like to think the situation we're in, it's not ideal, but I do appreciate council's willingness and openness to get things done quick, because it was great that those students were able to register in September and attend that school, and so that was really great to see. So that's kind of where we were at, and I'd like to talk a bit about So we did submit the plan with the expansion request to the Ministry of Education. And we submit that last year, but we don't yet know whether we're going to receive approval until late February, early March of 2019. And so we said, obviously that's the ideal situation. And if it's a yes, that's great. I mean, we're gonna start as soon as possible. And then we realized though that if it is yes, that addition, it won't be ready for September of 2019. It won't be ready till September of 2020. Because even to draw up plans and do the engineering, and have a small window for construction, and so that's gonna take some time. Yeah.
Are you just looking at replacing that temporary classroom? Have you looked at the growth of POOS in the future? Like, do we need two? Do we, you know what I mean? Are we gonna be going down this road in another 3 years saying we're full? We gotta do it again?
Yeah, it's definitely a concern. I do have that concern, but we do also from like the expansion request for one classroom, and I also honestly even have concern that if it is only one classroom, they are quite short on office space, and the boot room situation isn't ideal in that school. So I fully am aware of that. But that one, to add one classroom is $450,000 with the option depending on there's definitely a contingency in there for $40,000 depending on, I think if it's gonna need an electrical upgrade to handle that additional space. So if we're not successful with the ministry and so we don't get any funding, just to build the one classroom then is $450,000. A portable, we're looking between 2 to 3, depending.
If you can find one.
Yeah, so yeah, with portables are in high demand. It would be, if the ministry's answer is no, and let's say in March right away we decided to explore if a portable is an option that we determine, I don't know whether it would be there for September. I'd have to, because I know last year.
Have they started the engineering already on the school?
No,
They haven't started it at all.
no, we won't, because if the ministry's answer is yes, then we'll go down that avenue. But if it's no, the board then needs to have a decision. And we're kind of already looking towards what that could look like, because coming February, March, we're gonna get an answer. And if it is no, we wanna start our gears running and start to explore those other options, because we don't wanna delay in too much and then have to start at that time. But
So if we said go ahead and do the engineering plans, and POOS will partner up with you guys to get the ball rolling, then that means, and the money still also comes from the ministry, then that means that we could have 2 classrooms?
well, so just for the engineering, you're saying partner?
Yeah.
But
No, I
then-
mean the school, like
Oh,
if we
that
partnered up
partner.
like we did with the library and the community center,
Yeah,
like we would have to discuss that amongst council.
yeah,
But just to get the ball rolling, you guys go ahead and get the engineering plans done and us partner up with you. And if the ministry steps up to the plate too, then does that mean that we can have 2 classrooms instead of just 1?
that could be something, yeah, and that'd be a possibility to go to the board too, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, so if it's a no, then we need to know, because I didn't want to get too far ahead, because if we got engineering drawings and then a permanent addition is the 450,000 to 500, but a portable is about half that. So if we're not going to get the ministry's funds to pay for the half of the permanent addition, then the board may decide we can't afford a permanent addition, we can only afford a portable. And so then getting those engineered plans would be a waste. We did consult an engineer and actually get Forrest to come in, and he did do, not plans, but he definitely put more clout into developing that 450 budget for us. So, we are somewhat ahead a little bit. But you need to know too, like if it is a no from the ministry does look at, because we do have capacity in Dawson. We have lots of room, and it is 10 kilometers down the road. In the capital expansion request to the ministry, I really stressed busing, and I tried to show to them what it could mean potentially for a student that maybe is picked up on the earliest run in this area. I tried to paint the worst possible scenario for them, because obviously I'm trying to advocate as much as I can as well. But because if a student gets picked up on the earliest run at 6:45, and if they go into town in an in-town bus, then to come back out to Poos, they're on the late dismissal bus out to the area, not on the early dismissal, and so it just means a longer day for them, and that's not ideal.
And yeah, it's not ideal for them to learn.
No.
They're tired by the afternoon, right?
Yeah,
But we also spoke to Fleming at UBCM,
yeah.
and your chair was also on the phone with us too.
Mhm.
And he sounded pretty positive that he would have something done.
Yeah, it'll be in some way, like, because the ministry right now with the capital expansion, or not really expansion, but the new school requests they're getting, they're for millions of dollars, because in Surrey they're having to build tons of new classrooms, new schools, just because of the increase in enrollment in the south that we're seeing. So the reason why I think we do have a little bit of an opportunity is when the whole request is for 450,000 and the district is saying that we're willing to pay for half, we're talking about $225,000. That's not a lot of money.
And you get the village in there if we agree.
Yeah, and so we're at the point now where we're still really hopeful, and we're fingers crossed until that announcement in February, March. Unfortunately, we don't really have an update on that because ministry is pretty tight-lipped until an official
Christmas
announcement.
break, right?
Yeah, but we are now in the new year. I'm going to start gathering data on what are the other options for the board, and they're obviously I'm gonna start at the cheapest option and then work their way, because then the board needs to decide. But I would like to increase communication with either Chris in the new year, because I know options that are available and possible from the district's perspective, but I don't really would able to assume on what the council is prepared, or options that you would consider feasible. And so you mentioned partnership which is great, and so you guys can obviously decide what that could look like, and we would the more we increase, I think, in the new year, the better, and the more prepared we can be for what that announcement is in March.
Go ahead.
When we were down at UBCM, the NDP government had a workshop on they would like to incorporate daycare into the schools under the Ministry of Education. Now, I have a lady's name that there's big bucks out there if we want to do a daycare. I would like to ask, should we pursue that to see if there's money out there for a daycare attached to the school? And because she said there's lots of money out there, and they did it at Mulmurray, which we can emulate or
Use the engineering plan.
yeah.
Yeah, no, there is actually, because childcare is an initiative right now for I'm not sure what ministry is responsible for that, but no, there is the opportunity for funding towards that. So that
Chris
again
has
is
that
another
card,
option.
actually. Chris can actually give you a copy of that card on tomorrow or
Okay.
next day. I got it when we were down at UBCM.
And there is difference depending on whether the daycare provider is for-profit or non-for-profit. And so
It was
there's,
a $10 a day.
If they were, it depends on their income.
Yeah. So as a board, I don't know if Melissa was there that day. So we went down to Vancouver, similar to what your UBCM, but for trustees in the province. We call it BC School Trustee Association. Went down there, and the Minister of Childcare, which is a woman from Vancouver, actually gave us a little introduction to that. So we are in the process of learning about that, but we have very limited information from a board level that has come up yet from the ministry. So that is something, I don't know on Melissa's side if they've got more information than what the trustees have got, but we had a half-day conference on that subject. So it is something
And
we're looking at.
a daycare, I'm not talking about 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, because everyone works shift work. there's oil and gas, there, you know what I mean? So if we do something, I would like to do it what accommodates the needs of the people that require the daycare.
We all do. Yeah. Ken, you had a question?
Actually, it's more of a comment. Poos is a growing community, and we see that being reflected in the enrollment in the school. And as we continue to grow, which we do have plans, and by the way the trend is going, we will be growing. One of the assets that we have is sending our children to this local elementary school. I think it could potentially be a detriment to having people come to the community if they have to bus their kids all the way to us.
That's what I've been saying all along.
So it's huge, you know, for the growth of Poos to be able to accommodate our kids in our community.
Morning.
So you have the idea of adding a classroom to that school, and that would take that classroom out of our library right now. So really it isn't expanding very much at all. And that school is packed to capacity. We have speech therapy going on in the kitchen and all kinds of things.
No mudroom.
I have a mudroom.
Well, it even affects our community center. If there's no mudroom, people come in wintertime, coats, boots.
In the library too,
Yeah.
it affects it all. But we have to cut you guys off now. You got over your 10 minutes.
Oh, sorry, I
I've been
wasn't.
notified by somebody over there.
I should have asked about it.
No, that's fine. We appreciate you guys and I'm very glad you guys came.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, and so we'll just talk more in the new year, I think, and
Yes.
then, so we can touch base. Yeah. So I
Thank you very
appreciate your
much.
time.
Thank you.
Merry
Thank you.
Christmas and thank
Yes.
you for the good news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Progress. Yeah. Talk again soon.
Thank you. Thanks. 6.2 recommendation.
Got a council here delegation from Village of Extreme Mississauga via Skype call. She would like to talk about working on the Canada Day celebration for 2019.
Can I get a
Hey, you've
second?
reached Billy Joe Aitken with 542 Entertainment and 3 Letta.
All in favor?
Sorry, I can't come to the phone right now, but
Hal?
I told her we'd be right around 7:15, so she might be.
Well, that was very important.
I should have known it.
If you can't find my card, I
Yeah.
have the card, I can put it in the safe.
Right, it was the school one.
Anything in that school, even with that classroom.
Although in my defense, I said 7:15, give or take a few.
They have money for all that.
We're on the high side.
The building.
They'll build that on there.
And we'll own that part.
Right.
And that's go a lot.
I just see attitudes that we're calling now, so.
And if
She's trying to call
Well,
us.
that's what I'm saying.
When you consider the size of the school was before,
Yes.
I always said it was going to be too small.
hello.
Oh, shoot! I found your voicemail. She really is in holiday mode.
Hello, Billy speaking.
Hi, Billy Joe. Sorry I hung up on you. It's Sandy. We're ready for you.
Hi, Billy Joe.
It's Lorraine.
You know, Chris being like, I'm picking up.
Okay, can you hear everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So everybody's read their agenda here. So anybody have any questions on this? So, Bobby Joe, can you lead us into what you would do for us for Canada Day?
Yeah, so the conversation that we had when I was in town was doing a Canada Day celebration, maybe looking at the Roadhammers or someone like that, which is what my company does. So we would broker, obviously, the talent, mark the contract, negotiate all the staging. We can kind of do as much or as little of the hands-on pieces that you guys would like. So that all comes together with us even flying in and running the back of house for you, meaning running all the operations for the show. Yeah, I guess it kind of depends on what you guys need. I know you've done your celebrations in the past and you guys have had a lot of fun with it, so we can kind of handle just the music part, or we can help you in more of it. So in the marketing side, and the operations side, we can do one piece or all of it, so.
Okay, can you give us a breakdown of the costs?
Yeah, so we charge 10% of what the budget is. So if you have a $20,000 ask, then we charge $2,000. And same as anything that we touch. So anything that we take part of, we end up using a 10% model. So say if you guys wanted us to work on the whole end of things and you had a budget for $100,000, it would be a $10,000 fee, but that would be a flat fee to you guys. So then I would try to obviously drive down the cost as much as I can for you. So we can come up with what that budget looks like, and then that would be our fee, and then we'll go in and kind of try to strip the budget as much as we can.
Okay, do you guys have any questions? So if we put, normally we have what, $60,000, Chris?
40 and Kennedy came in at 42 by the time the dust settled this year.
So 42 normally, but that would take, the band would eat that up. Right?
So it really depends on what you guys want to go for. And I have to go in and get the quote. It is Canada Day, so that's the only thing that makes it a little bit, sometimes their prices are a little higher. But yeah, I mean, you're looking, depending on the size of the act that you want to get, anywhere from 20 to 35,000, and then you have your staging over and above.
Okay, so if you took over Canada Day, our staff had nothing to do with it except for the parade, what would our budget be?
The budget that we kind of talked about on what you guys wanted, or what I was understanding what you guys would want to do, was in that $100,000 range.
Right.
But it really comes down to the concept of what you guys want to do. Now, of course, we would work in tandem on that. So it would be your staff, working if you guys decide to do a bar or any of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
It doesn't make sense for us to fly a whole team out on your budget to do those pieces. So yeah, it just depends on kind of how big you want to go, and then what you want to do in marketing, how many people you want to bring out. We can kind of work with all of that. So it really just depends on the goal.
Okay, so when do you need a time frame for this, if we decide to do this?
On the talent side of things, you're going to want to move faster rather than slower, just because as we get closer to the summer, obviously, all these acts get booked up.
Right.
So, but that means that right now, like Nashville's pretty much shut down. The whole industry is basically shut down until about the 15th of January. So you have some time for sure to go through your budget and decide what you guys want to do.
Okay. Nobody has any questions?
I think we need a sort of pay her to send us a.
Can you send us what you can do? I think you sent us a booklet of that, did you not?
That was Extreme Mud
It was
Oh, can you send
Yeah,
us?
so I can send you guys what we call as our intro package. So it just kind of shows you everything that we do, from whether it's just doing the talent buying, the logistics of that, or whether it's a full turnkey event. And then you guys can kind of get a better idea of what we do. But it really is a pick and choose type of thing, because there may be some parts that you guys still want to do. But I mean, we do events from 1,000 people all the way up to 40,000 people. So
Exactly.
our team's pretty versed in that.
Yeah.
And where are you located at?
I'm based in Vancouver.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Okay. And no, you don't have a question, Mary Kay? Okay. Well, thank you for your time, and
Yes.
we'll let you know in the new year.
Okay, that sounds good, guys. Merry Christmas and Travis.
Yes.
Take care.
Thank you, Billy Joe.
You too.
Merry
Thank you.
Christmas to you
Bye.
too.
Thanks, bye.
Unfinished business arising from minutes. New business 8.1 recommendation.
The council approved travel, registration, and accommodation up to $3,292 for the CAO to travel to Vancouver from January 14th to the 18th, 2019 for statistics training.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
He's got,
Oh, Chris
Yeah,
has it.
thanks, Your Worship. I just did want to say to council, and the mayor and I spoke about this before the meeting here too, this is a big cost. The statistics training is what it is, so it definitely won't ruffle any feathers.
Do you want to go?
Is it a value of knowledge that
I
can move us
I'm-
forward?
Honestly, Councillor Smith, I'm not sure there'll be $3,300 worth of information that I get out of this.
Well, how about if we say yes, and then
If you do.
if you don't go, you don't go. If you go, you go.
you find out more about it?
Get more information.
Is there, will there be opportunities to watch in through Skype?
As far as I know, no, and that was something I mentioned to Sandy today too. It'd be nice if there was a webinar version of this. It would be a lot cleaner and easier.
Will there be
Maybe if there's
minutes?
somebody else.
Yeah, and essentially what ends up happening because of the dates, and the flights out of the region, I've got to go for an entire week, which is what's driving the cost here. So, we know we're going through the negotiations with Fair Share, Peace River Agreement, and BC Assessment, which was the only reason I thought I could maybe go down to this and get some, statistical information to help us with that, with BC Assessment, but, statistics BC, but as far as I know, they're gonna adjust the statistics this year anyways, so that's why I'm saying there might not be $3,000.
And there might be something else coming out in the year that you might get more value.
So if you guys are okay putting it on the floor, I'll do a little bit more research and make sure that there's enough value there to.
We
to
can
work
vote
with.
on that you go. I'll vote that you can go. We all in favor?
Yes.
No,
No? You're on?
I'll be opposed to that.
Okay.
Because if Chris isn't adamant in seeing the benefit to the community from this particular go-around, then he's the one that would know.
That's what we're saying.
That's what I just said.
Then
We will
he-
give him the option so he doesn't have to come back to council for the $3,200.
Because we
He
won't-
already has it already on the table.
I think he's already made up his mind.
Well, he was gonna go or not go. He was gonna do his research. So the 3,200 is on the table if he wants to go and he has the proper research, thinking that it's gonna value the village. If it doesn't value the village, I trust Chris will back out and say no.
We also don't have another meeting before that.
No.
But he can still go with four and one opposed, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You just want to note that you're opposed, right? That's all.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. I'll make sure I know.
So noted, yeah.
Okay, 8.2 recommendation.
That council recommends which design for the new entrance sign for 250 design. 1, 2, and 3.
And they're black and white in your little booklet there. But, because we don't like to use color.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bart. I think, myself personally think those signs are quite perfect. All you have to do is be moved back to 211 Road where our boundaries start. That's the green signs coming into Bruce. But that's entirely you guys'
We have to move them back.
well, to our boundaries, to
Oh, you mean
211.
up?
Yeah, up the hill.
It's kind of nice to keep the green.
So these are not,
Because it does, but I would say that when you're driving, you have to get attention, right?
these are not the finished signs, these are just drawings that Chad did up, and it's actually Chad Anderson that's working on it with Harvest, New Harvest Design or whatever. So just keep in mind, these are not the finished product. These are just to get an idea of what they could do.
And what are they gonna be made of?
Well,
Well,
the same as vinyl, same as.
Yeah. Okay.
well, no, I think that other one is
It's
wood.
wood, and I wouldn't want wood.
No?
Because it's too dark.
No.
I like number 1.
I like number 1.
I like.
I like-
Road there.
Both of them are really nice.
Design.
This one is very attractive, though. I mean, when you're looking at it, just dream of driving down the highway. Isn't that nice?
I don't read signs, so I look straight ahead.
That's because you go too fast.
I have to watch those
I
deer.
like to notice things, but I'd say that.
So, do you guys wanna vote on this?
Okay, let's vote.
One.
All in favor of number one?
Nothing to expand on one.
One,
Okay.
2, 3, 4.
And I say no change to sign.
Okay.
No change to the sign?
Perfect. I thought that they
Or
wanted
haven't
to.
touched
You know
it.
what?
Oh, is it?
I thought this was a done deal, that you were changing the
Yeah.
sign.
Yeah, that's why we were
No,
doing
these are just recommendations.
Well, I'm going with
yeah.
the current sign.
Let's just fix them. Let's just fix them.
Well, there you go.
So you just
Okay,
want to
do you
keep
want to
the
amend the
original sign?
motion, Tim?
I would like to amend the motion to well, what am I?
Refurbish the
To refurbish the current sign we have. You have to vote
I
on
would,
it.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
it'd be a little bit cleaner, Ken, if we just shoot down the first motion and then do it on
Absolutely.
the floor, please, yeah.
Okay, we're not in favor.
Not in favor of the first motion.
All opposed?
All opposed.
All opposed.
Alright,
Okay, the second motion is to
Refurbish.
refurbish the ones that we already have, if they need to be refurbished. Don't just go out and just change them because you feel like it.
Yeah.
and you want it moved to,
I
And
would
I
like
want to
to-
move
11.
to our actual boundaries of 211 Road. I don't know why it was put there, but if we can actually.
that's something that'll have to, oh,
Well, I was gonna say, I believe that sign was actually there during and after that boundary extension, and it just never got moved after that process, so.
and that'll have to go.
So
to
can we
the
put one there? And maybe can we have one leaving Pooskoopi on the other side of the road?
Thank you for visiting.
It
Thank
says
you
thank
for
you on the other
visiting.
side. It says thank you on the other side.
No,
Backside.
on this end.
On this road,
On the south
when you're
end,
on driving
I don't
to
think-
town,
Yeah, it says thank you on the back
What?
side of the green.
Yeah, but that's going, no,
Yeah.
Dawson Creek.
Oh,
We're
but
talking
you want it
about
on
going
that
this way,
side.
yes.
yeah.
Okay,
I
so
don't
we'd
think
have to
we'd
get
have everything
permission,
there.
we'd have to get permission from the ministry for
Yeah.
both sides.
But that makes it easier, because we know the sign we're asking for permission for now, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All in favor?
Who seconded it? Did it?
Or-
She did?
Alan
Oh!
For three recommendations. Is anybody gonna read that for me?
Oh, the council approved administration to proceed with the document shredding for December 2018 as presented in the list.
Can I get a seconder?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
And if
Or do you
anybody
guys wanna
wants to
have a
see it, it's right
discussion?
there.
Yep, that's the plan.
Needs to go.
Needs to go. Put it in notes.
1986 public works.
There was some archived documents, that's just.
8.4 recommendation?
The council received Northeast Regional Community Foundation NRCF report for discussion.
Can I get a seconder?
Second.
Chris, is there anything important? in
Yeah,
this
thank you, Your Worship. I'm happy to speak to this if council would like. So I guess just to summarize some of the items in the report. This was something that came across my desk as a report from this organization. Letter dated November 22nd, we received it on December the 3rd. And the cover letter, you know, was basically speaking to the highlights about what this fund was all about. I initially didn't understand it. So I picked up the phone and called the contact on the back here, Sue Kenny. Had a lengthy conversation with her about all the particulars on it. So what this is an endowment fund, which is a pool of money that is set aside, protected, and then they distribute interest to various community groups. So multiple municipalities have contributed, as well as MDIT from their correspondence. So the Village of Bruce donated, contributed, I guess would be a better word, $50,000 to this organization. It was supposed to be over 2 years. There is a motion from October in 2014 doing the whole $50,000 in one lump sum chunk. NDIT matched that, so that's the village proper. They also received over $100,000 from the former Pooskoopi Foundation as well. So really this, you know, pool of money that's about $622,000 as at the date of this document, not $622,000 now, is, you know, over a third Pooskoopi, or dollars from the Pooskoopi region. I can't find any evidence that Pooskoopi community organizations have received a grant anywhere from this, which, maybe they haven't applied, maybe they haven't. So, long story short, I'm not sure we're getting the benefit out of this. There is literature or a line in their terms of reference document that does grant us the opportunity to withdraw if we like. I don't know what happens to the NDIT matching donation, and what the mayor and I had spoke about is if council's open to the idea of putting a motion on the floor that I try and withdraw from this, I can contact NDIT and see if they'll port their portion of the donation over here, and we set up the endowment fund internally in-house here at the village to then donate the interest to any community groups ourselves. Part of what concerns me with this is all public money in this fund. They have it very aggressively invested in the stock market. And that's why I mentioned a moment ago that the literature here speaks to $622,000. 63 cents of every dollar that's in this fund is exposed to some stock or other in various stock markets. The markets have taken an absolute, 30% decline over the last month and a half. So this 622 is not 622 anymore.
So can we vote that you pull that 50 grand of ours out of there and talk to NDIT, and that we start up our own scholarship endowment fund for our own Pooskoopi children? Can I get a seconder on that? Would you like to speak? Okay.
I don't think it should be just scholarship.
No.
I think, you know what I mean, we've got the Pooskoopi Community Church may get, they can apply for a grant, the Legion, the food bank, community groups within the municipality.
Chris?
Yeah, thank you, I think that's a great idea. Only reason why I'm thinking about that is I helped set something up similar when I was on the board of directors of the community forest in Tumbler Ridge. And we did the same thing. We set aside a pool of money and then we opened it up. We drafted a whole terms of reference document. So to actually get to that piece, if I can get the dollars out of this fund and get NDIT to match it and to borrow the terms of reference and a lot of the guideline documents from that work in Tumbler, put it in front of you guys, put a or Pooh spin on it, it should be a relatively easy thing to implement.
Sort of endowment fund.
Yeah, the issue that concerns me is if there, the market declines that I know have happened in the general markets, if they've applied to this, I don't know if we're looking at our original seed capital back or some other value.
Well, whatever we can get out of it, it should never have gone in there.
What would you invest?
The thing that concerns me about this, and I brought it up with Sue, the type of investment that these folks are in would not be permitted here under the community charter. I'd be hugely offside. Actually, I'd be legally, personally liable for any decline in market value. It's not permitted generally for public funds. Sue's explanation was that, well, this is an endowment fund, it's a society, the community charter requirements to invest prudently don't apply to them, and they really wanted to see some growth out of the investment dollars.
Pardon?
Okay.
As a society, and our money is in there, we've never been consulted on who the groups are or any communication.
There was $3,000 given out last year.
Yeah.
I know, but we were not consulted on who would apply, who was gonna get the money. If it's a society, a registered society, then if we have funds in there, are we not a member of that society?
There's a board of directors here. I noticed, Mary Kelly is on it, so, I believe she's still a Bruce resident. Sue's explanation was sound, that because the money's there now, this isn't a municipality, those rules don't apply, but I did stress to her, I said, in my opinion, Sue, if this is a donation from the taxpayers of Bruce, I would think we would expect it to be invested as prudently as it would over.
I know at the time that it was invested, there was lots of upheaval. The residents were not happy about it, but there was nothing the residents could do about it.
Mhm. Yeah, we've got the minutes, showing the council motion and everything to do it. So it went through council channels. But, you know, an endowment fund with $622,000 that only donated $3,000 to community groups last year and zero the year before isn't providing anyone a ton of benefit.
So can we do a motion then that
Yes, absolutely.
we take it out and you phone in DIT and see if they'll put it over to us and
If I could maybe make a suggestion on that, don't make the motion that I take it out up front. Direct me to start doing the groundwork to investigate it and make sure that it's.
yeah, go ahead and see what you
For all,
want to do.
for all we
get back.
know, this 50,000 that we put in there, they could turn around and tell me, well, there's only 35,000 bucks left because the market went down, so here's your check.
I guess Bruce's contribution.
Yeah.
And then you lose 30% for withdrawing the money
No, there's, according to this, they said we can withdraw at any time, but
with no penalty.
that isn't mentioned. They are invested with Scotiabank. You know, Scotiabank's a reputable financial institution, but it could be one of those type of funds that has a deferred sales charge too, so that could end up hitting some on the tail end of it. I don't know. That's why I'm saying don't make the motion that I have to withdraw it.
So the motion is for you to do the groundwork
Yeah, and bring a report back. to
and bring a
council.
report back to council. But can we do it ASAP before we lose any more money? Can I get a second or no? All in favor? 8.5 recommendation.
I wanted to make that motion. That's a good motion.
The council consider if they would like to place an advertisement in the military recognition book.
I'll second. I was reading this and I was thinking, how many veterans live in Coos?
None, but it still donates to the Legion. It's still a veteran book.
That's what I'm, but
We've donated in it to the last 2 years. Do you have anything to say? Anybody?
I think we've given to these people for a long time.
No, Sandy told me that it's,
To the best of my knowledge, it's only been the last 3 years, but I can't find anything that says they did.
Dawn, you would remember?
I read it in the book, but I can't remember how long it was in there.
Can you remember?
No.
We started it back, I think, when you were there.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think it was just stopped for a certain period of time.
So what is the benefit to the community by investing in this book? There's a part B question here, but part A, what is the benefit to the community?
the residents probably don't ever see the book.
Not
Unless
unless
they're
there's
going to the Legion.
You can speak to that, Dawn.
There's copies in the Legion and people take them and read them all the time.
Wouldn't the Legion directly benefit from,
Our Legion.
wouldn't our Legion directly benefit from a donation of $598 to use for purposes?
Then the military book.
Or we would do a quarter page.
No, we wouldn't even do that. We wouldn't do the military book. We would just donate the money to the
No,
Legion.
Just saying, how big of a thing were you gonna do to start with?
The 595 one.
Okay.
Usually
Yes, the Legion would, yes, I was thinking.
Mm.
More benefit the Legion
Then-
than,
then more
and then
benefit.
add in the book.
Yes.
So would you like to put that motion?
I would like to make that motion that we donate the sum of $595 to our local Legion as opposed to putting an ad in this book.
All in favor?
Can I vote on that one?
Second? Donna's seconding it?
Yeah. I can't second it, can I?
Yeah. That's
Okay.
I would like to just ask, make a note when we do our budget. When we went to the Remembrance Day service, the Legion provides everything for our community. They had corporate sponsors for the chili and the whatever. They represent us on Remembrance Day. I would like to put something in the budget that we contribute from the village to the Remembrance Day service to the Legion.
As how much?
Well, I would look out at budget time, but I just didn't want to forget that we have it in the budget to give them a donation for Remembrance Day service.
Donna.
Oh, I thought it was donated.
I know, and that's
Just
just,
for the recognition,
Yeah,
ours would be donation.
because it's Bob being the president, it was a real good, clean,
Nice service.
nice service. The layout was way better.
at least on her.
Yeah, it was nice this year. So yeah.
I just wanted to throw that out before I forgot.
I second that motion. Or I can't second, you guys have to second that motion.
Councilor Smith's comments don't need to be by motion. I'll just take that and add a slide to the PowerPoint presentation for this year's budget.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh my God, I love it.
That's another hour, guys. Another hour we won't get back from our life. What would you get? 8.6
It's not one slide, it's 3 now. Provide wording for the desired NCLGA resolution topic for administration to forward to NCLGA.
And I'll second that motion because it's
And Barb wants to speak.
I am not happy with BC assessment. And it's been a bee in my bonnet.
There was one more you weren't happy with.
Yes.
But I can't remember what it was.
What was the second?
Criminal background checks
Yes,
and the
yes.
improvement in BC assessment classification.
There.
Okay, to bring you guys up to speed, we had a building here, zone commercial. The owner went to BC assessment and changed the zoning on it. They never notified BC assessment, never changed. We lost $15,000 for one. And what gives them the right as BC assessment to change our zoning? We have an OCP, we do bylaws. Go ahead.
Councilor Smith, just to clarify, they didn't change the zoning, they changed the property classification for tax purposes.
Oh,
So we ended up with a disconnect between what our zoning bylaw, council approved zoning bylaw said that property should have been with what it was reported and being taxed as on BC assessment. So, yeah, they couldn't come in and actually, it amounted effectively to a zoning change because we lost the commercial taxation on it.
So it was over a course of 10 years that that building was seen as BC assessments residential, when it should have been zone commercial.
Is that door open for that kind of stuff happening again?
yes,
It can
BC,
happen anywhere.
and Chris phoned BC assessment and they said, we don't have to notify you. You know what I mean? It's not up to us. Not written or phone call or nothing. So we're a small municipality, we've caught this error. Can you imagine what they've done in bigger places?
So what do you want to do about it?
I want to take a resolution that their directive for their, how they handle this, the wording through their job description, include notifying the municipality
Of any changes.
of any changes. Or consult with the municipality on changes.
Is this going to be a verbal or written?
It has to be written, because it has to go to NCLGA, and then Barb will speak to it at NCLGA.
No, I thought our mayor would.
No, this is Barb's initiative. And then NCLGA will take it down to UBCM, and then it will be voted on. And then
They take it
the
to the
resolution will they'll take it to the government if it's voted on, yes, no.
And I think when we get this resolution written, we should take it and represent it to the Peace River Regional District first because they're probably not even aware of it.
No, they're aware.
They're aware.
Believe me, I've been just,
But, yeah.
those boys know. Okay.
Good
And
for
the
you.
second one, okay, do you want some instruction on the wording?
The wording has to come from council for a resolution, but it could be something to the effect of that BC assessment improve notification to municipalities prior to property reclassification changes. Or to make it even stronger, it would be that BC assessment has to obtain consent from the municipality
Very
for property.
good.
Strong, that's very strong.
Yeah, because what bugged me about this item was that, you know, we had it zoned as commercial. I have evidence at the office here that we've been trying to evict those unlawful residential tenants from that property for years. And again, the issue was nobody consulted us. Had BC Assessment come to us proactively and said, we received an application from this landowner to reclassify the property as residential, is council okay with that? Well, no, it's a regular commercial zone, we don't want that. We could have put the stop to this right off the bat. That didn't happen, so I think,
He did
you know,
innovations, called them, they came down, boom, boom, boom. It was
Yeah, but wouldn't Pouce Coupe have noticed that that restaurant turned into an apartment building?
well, we
yeah.
did.
We did,
Yeah.
we knew that,
Yeah.
and we were fighting him, saying you can't do that.
You were fighting Charles
Yeah.
instead of,
The landowner. And then we find out after 10 years that it's been changed in BC assessment.
but wouldn't you have gone to BC Assessment to check that out, to see what was going on?
It only came up because I was in the process of trying to evict those tenants, and one of the first steps I took was to go in there and double check the information on our tax roll for the property. And I only called BC Assessment because I noticed that it was residential. And I called them to say, guys, there's an error on your tax roll, this is a commercial property. No, it's not. 2009, the owner called us and asked us to reclassify it to residential. Well, that's not right, it's commercial on my zoning map. Oh, that doesn't matter. We classify the property based on what the owner says is happening in there.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
I was under the impression council set the direction for the property classification. Well, you do, but we've got the right to come in and, you know, we want to make it fair. So we classify based on what's actually happening and our observed uses. Why weren't we advised? Well, we're not required to. We're short-staffed, so we can't notify everybody.
And then you made the example of, well, I could build a commercial building. What did
So
you?
when we were in the meeting, I mentioned to one of the senior guys in there, and I can't recall his title, so you're telling me that I can have an industrial, I can be the owner of an industrial building, and I can be sick of paying the industrial tax rate, which is generally 6 to 10 times the residential tax rate, move my family in there, set up a kitchenette in the living room, call up BC Assessment and say, this is no longer a warehouse, this is where me and my family live, and you guys will reclassify it to residential. Yes.
Unreal, eh?
That is unbelievable.
This is public what you just said, right? Let's not give them any ideas.
That
Are you moving into her?
Strike that from the record.
You can.
So, all in favor?
So that's the motion for number 2.
Who seconded that motion?
Donna?
Okay, so the second item was for a resolution is criminal check for people that are running for council. So you vote in somebody that has been caught embezzling or, you know what I mean? There's lots of things.
But you have to,
How do you get
distinguish it, you have to distinguish it, like, we have one minister down there that used to be an RCMP officer, and he was charged with excessive force when he was an RCMP officer, and he actually went to court, they threw it out, but he still has
Has
that
that
criminal
label.
charge. He still has that charge, right?
So we have to word it, something, okay, like in
Fraud.
my field, in the gaming field, we have to go through a criminal check. Now, somebody that had a DUI is not gonna affect their employment with us, and that's a criminal offense. But somebody that has stolen money for previous jobs would affect them getting a approval checks.
Somebody that keeps suing everybody.
So that's the wording or the classification, what we're looking for is, I guess, how would you say?
I would say fraud and,
Something that's detrimental to the.
detrimental to the community.
Yes.
That's too open-ended.
That's too bad.
What do you suggest?
I think in something like this, and I understand where President is trying to go with it, this would have to be something that would be disclosed at the time the nomination package is put in. Because if it was,
Yes.
if it was a background check after the election has taken place,
yeah.
it might get disclosed, but really, there's no language.
There's
in-
nothing to do about it.
So, okay, great, the Counselor XYZ got arrested and served 5 years for kidnapping. Okay, well, there's nothing, there's literally no way in the charter to remove a counselor for pretty much any
Once
reason.
they get in.
Once they're in. So it would have to be something that would form early on part of the nomination package. So along with things like the financial disclosure documents, the applicants for elected office would have to disclose any prior criminal convictions. And you'd probably want to word it so that it wasn't accusations or things that, legit, if you were accused and convicted, then it's reported at that point.
Transparent.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and even DUIs, I mean, perhaps in your field, Councilor Smith, that's not something that would prevent somebody from,
yeah, but
working
it
at the
might
casino.
be here.
But, if
It's a
someone
criminal
running for
offense.
local office has 3 DUI convictions, perhaps the public wants to know about that before they consider electing that person to run their community.
What could he be? He could be a drunk, vicious drunk.
Yeah, and I'd caution council about putting restrictions on it, so, language about pertinent or anything.
Individual.
Because, then where do you draw the line? Then we end up with these convoluted lists of, well, if you've been
Well,
convicted of this and
at
that,
the
yes, if
NCLGA
this and this, no.
They tried to do this at the last NCLGA and they threw it out.
Oh, really? Yeah, okay.
So we could leave that one.
We can still bring
Do
it
you
wanna
back.
leave it?
Yeah, we'll leave that one
Leave that
and
one.
bring it back. We could table that one. All in favor of that one? Can we come up, sleep on it and decide what we should figure out, what criminal check should be, the wording on it? All in favor? Correspondence, anybody see any correspondence letters that they want to talk about? Did you guys see the 9.5 recommendation? The 9.5 one?
The council received the email from Staff Sergeant Guerrero?
This is the recent one, right, Chris?
Yeah.
Great.
It's the one we've been dealing with, yeah. I just want you guys to see that one. And then, I recommend a letter for Hollow Point. It's not gonna affect us in any way. I think that they've done business out there forever.
If there's no conflict and you don't think there's anything wrong, we don't have to send a letter, we just don't answer them.
Okay.
We just had to bring it to you to see if there was a concern.
Okay.
I still have confusion, which isn't all that rare. I was under the impression, and when I looked at it, I wasn't finding the information that I thought would be in there with regards to the
building?
deceased individual here in the community.
Yeah.
There wasn't, that one, because that is newer.
It happened after the.
That one
Yeah.
happened
So,
after.
yeah.
Report, yeah.
And the deceased one,
No foul play.
no foul play.
Well, that's good to know.
But I'll discuss that after.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Did anybody want to discuss 9.8? Any problems? Any?
No, she just said we don't have to answer to that one.
Okay.
If we don't have any disagreements. So we have no disagreements. So that's what Sammy just said, so. Do we have any, but, oh, the NCLGA nominations, you guys can go for at large or be something with the NCLGA if you would like. I don't have time. They were trying to nominate me at the regional district board. I said, no. Don't have time. And then, anything else? This letter from Ecom, Chris, can you explain more on this?
Item
Page 20.
914.
It's just a letter congratulating you guys on the election.
It's not about, yeah, it's not about that. Oh, I've been sick, I haven't really had a chance to read it all.
It just says congratulations on your October 20th election.
and an invite to tour the econ facility.
Yeah.
If we're visiting
Yeah.
Vancouver.
Yeah, we're very then. Oh, they're not gonna fly us down there, okay, our hotel room just.
Somebody could go to some statistics training on January.
They can go down there
Oh,
and say it.
it's terrible.
You might need that.
Okay, and nobody sees anything? So resolutions none, bylaws none, administration report, Mr. Wordy.
Keep it short.
Keep it short. Okay.
My bedtime.
Yeah, and this will be a short one, actually. Just to give council an update on the emergency management BC training I went on. It was pretty valuable training. A lot of it was about public speaking and managing information flows out to the public in an emergency situation, in a crisis. Definitely picked up a few tidbits there. So thanks to council for letting me go take that training. The 3-page RCMP report we just talked about, unfortunately, we're infamous on that, as the mayor kind of alluded to. 2 out of the 4 major incidents were about a property here in Goose. I am working on that property as we speak. Helped set up the media event for DECLA and Weedmart, and looks like that went off pretty well. I think they were on TV, and they were definitely in the Dawson Creek Mirror, so that was good. Northeast Community Foundation, we spoke about their portion there. Blair and I have been working on looking at the grader over the last couple of months. We had a big repair on it last year, $25,000. The swivel housing that holds the blade snapped, and it's
old.
It's over 20 years old. It needs major repairs right now to the tune of $43,000 on the low side, assuming they don't find anything else wrong with it while they're in there fixing the stuff that it actually needs. It's a piece of equipment that's worth maybe $15,000 if we were to sell it on the open market. So we're at the point where we desperately need to replace this piece of equipment.
Did they hit something with the blade?
Yeah, we hit a manhole cover. We got a manhole cover that protrudes in town. We did this year put some additional paving around it, because before it was just a lip. So we built a little berm so the blade goes up and over, but it is what it is. That was an incident that just happened to it. This work would have come to that piece of machinery one way or the other. I will caution council, these things aren't cheap. We're looking at $200,000 to $300,000 to replace it. It's done well for us, and they last long, partly because we only use them half the year, really, for the snow clearing. And Lorraine and I have been talking about this. We're trying to consider other options that might be a little bit more useful throughout the entire year, but there's some uncertainty about whether or not a wheel loader will actually do the job or not. So I'm going to bring a report in front of council early on in the new year. I think what I'd like to do is explore a couple options before we commit to that kind of money. That might include renting a piece of equipment for a few months to see how it works.
We have a school to build on too.
Yeah. And in my mind, if we spend, 10 or 15,000 trying out a few pieces of equipment before we go make a $250,000 20-year decision, that's money well spent for the taxpayers. If we buy the wrong thing, then, we're stuck with it. So.
Yeah, we have to do a lot.
So that's coming down the pipeline. Without that grader, we literally can't adequately plow the streets. So, North winds, we got a report today that the Peace River Haven property had a big water leak. Ironically, this is 2 weeks after the mayor and I met with the owners of the property. I distinctly
said
remember you cautioning them that they should turn the water off, and their response was no. They said,
And they maintain the building, and that's what they said to us, yeah.
so what was it that Trina mentioned, 30,000 gallons has already gone out?
I thought it was more like 60.
Was it 60?
It was a big number.
A
It
big
was a
number,
big
there's
number.
several
Who's an
inches of water.
insurance claim?
So we tried to contact the owner to ask permission to turn the water off. We couldn't get a hold of him. We made the executive decision to just go over there and turn it off. So the water on the property is off now.
And he will get a bill for the water.
Oh, yeah. That happened previously. He tried to dispute it, that it wasn't his fault, that it was vandalism. And we said, sir, we're sorry. The rest of the taxpayers in the community aren't going to subsidize this water. You might want to consider better security measures at your property if it's being vandalized. In this case, Bud said there was no heat on in the building, so the furnace was either turned off or failed for whatever reason.
It's happened before.
Yeah.
Well, the boiler, he said, I said, did you shut the boiler off? And he said they couldn't shut the boiler off.
Yeah, it was to keep the pipes from freezing.
Yeah, so obviously the boiler quit, and obviously nobody actually was checking the building.
This could be a frozen pipe. It could actually just be an old fitting let go in there. And,
But if the boiler, he told us the boiler was up and running.
yeah. And that's it. We don't know the particulars of what happened. Really, it's not the
Not the
municipalities. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time investigating it. It is what it is. So we've taken a step to turn the water off. On the waterfront, we talked about the hockey rink in the staff meeting today. The consensus is we have the best outdoor hockey rink in.
Chad,
All-
did we
all
find
over-
somebody that was sharpen the,
Yep,
why did we buy
we did.
a machine that blades weren't sharp?
They were, but they wear out rather quick, your worship. So according to Blair, we get 2 or 3 passes of the rink, and then those blades have to be sent out to be sharpened. He found someone in,
Because Jonathan Simmons's, some relative of his sharpened blades here, and I don't know if he still does.
I know Blair spent about a week trying to find someone that would do it locally, didn't land on anything, so he's got someone between here and Grand Prairie.
Average saw blades, what do we give you?
No, this is a giant razor blade that's about 4 feet long and is if literally if you picture
You
a
could
razor
try.
blade, it's a big one.
You can ask him, and he might
Yeah.
know something that can do it.
Everett Bowman.
We couldn't find anybody. We put a call out on Facebook. He asked us to put it on Facebook, asking the residents if they knew anybody. Somebody ended up calling in and he got a hold of that guy, and that's where he's taking
And
them.
it's pretty easy. They're doing it for like $40 a blade, and
How much to
Blair's,
ship it down?
no, Blair's gonna drop it off on his way out this weekend and pick him up on the way back. So we should-
But that's, if he does that 3 passes each time.
We got 2 blades with the machine. We're gonna buy a spare, and then that way we got. So we'll make it work. We didn't really foresee blade sharpening. We bought the darn thing, but it is pretty.
I don't remember when we got to school. Where
On the floor, on the end of the show.
I remember that with you.
On the finance front, I printed the full trial balance for the municipality there yesterday and started going through things with a fine tooth comb. I won't get too much into the numbers, other than to say, at this stage, we are under budget in every functional category in the municipality. We're still seeing costs trickling in, so that's gonna change, because some of those categories, we're only under budget by about $1,000. But what I can concretely say now is we will be under budget overall by a 6-figure number when that settles for
Wow.
this 3rd year in a row. So, final meter reads for all the water, we've lined it all up. That's gonna happen on January 31st. Or sorry, December 31st here. And last but not least, I'd intended on doing some of the reports I did last year for council about where everything landed by year end, but at 250 pages, I decided to reserve those until January, but you guys will get those, of course, to give you that full detailed package of where all the
Oh, we're
projects
so
are.
special.
One last lump of coal for your soggy.
That's it for me, folks.
Okay, anybody see anything on the action items? I have a question.
Oh, question only one more.
We have down here how much to build a new library. The first I heard of even the whispers of a new library was at election time. And I'm not aware of
Is this for the school, Chris, or is this for,
the library.
no, like, is this for building up the library with the school? Or is this an actual library?
That's an excellent question, Your Worship. So we looked into this, and so Sandy and I were kind of like, yeah, how did that make its way onto the action tracking sheet? So we went back to the October 3rd council video, which was where we were able to find it, and it was actually a request of yours. That administration look into building a new library, but it's too general. I'm not sure where to go.
But I thought it was for the school.
This is all you said. That's
Yeah.
all you said.
That's all, yeah.
Exactly that.
That's all we're
So
at.
this was to help build a library bigger over at the school.
Potentially.
Yes.
So if council's open to the idea, of course, I mean, something of that magnitude would have to go through the budget, so I can add that as a budget item.
And I also remember having a conversation with Andre, because he wanted a new school, a new library, and we said no.
I recall him mentioning something.
We said no, that was on his wish list, and we said no, but that we would think about building it on the school.
You were talking, the way the discussion came up was because we were talking about PRD wish list.
Yeah,
That's what you guys were talking about during this conversation.
yeah, this was for the school, this one I say for the school anyway. And Barb wanted the childcare for preschool.
I put a message out on Facebook there, and you, Chris, I know you liked it. I was quite impressed on the interest, or, you know what I mean? I never said that we were going to do it, I just said the interest, if there was interest, we would look at it. But do you feel that there's interest out there with those messages, or?
For the daycare?
I think
Yeah,
actually, Matt, they should be ran through Chris though before we start posting anything. Like, I don't post anything unless I run it through Chris.
Well-
And he tells us how
To word it.
to word it and,
Yeah, I'm happy to help with that, you know. if that-
I didn't feel that what I put out there was, that we had to do something, or I was just putting feelers out.
We know that council's direction was to go out with that community consultation in January anyways. We've already got that in the agenda to do. It was an interesting segue into seeing the comments, so that might actually help us at the end of the day get a little bit better response out of that survey.
I wanted to say, we sent things home from the school, but I thought, no, I just want to hear, don't like it, don't just like it, I want to hear from.
So now that that's out there, we'll make a point then of doing that early in the new year, just so it's fresh in everyone's mind, and we'll send out the actual official survey and see what some interesting comments on there for sure. Everything from, yeah, it's a great idea, to folks, well, I actually watch kids from 3 to 5 at night, just call me. So yeah, there was a couple
I didn't even
folks there trying to drum up business.
Oh, Barb Frost put out there, I'll come back and,
Look after kids?
yeah,
Was it in what's happening?
yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
So,
I see.
and like, we've, from the administrative side, have been saying all the way along, before we go too far down the daycare
Yeah.
discussion road, knowing the will of the community and what demand is to be out there is the first step of the process. So yeah, we'll get that, now that that's out there on the web, we'll get that.
anybody see anything else here?
Yeah, flowers for Barb Golding. I don't know, I don't remember that happening. What was that one?
Then we were asked by Mayor and Councillor Smith to send flowers to
I don't
Barb
even
Golding.
remember that.
She is a
But we're not
long-
doing it till January because her husband's service is not till January. She was in here, we talked to her, and they're not doing anything till January, and she wasn't at home at the time. So
She's
that's why no flowers
a
went out.
long-term employee with the district of Tumbler Ridge. That was basically
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Bart Golding.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was mostly Barb that asked.
Yeah, and I thought it was just etiquette because she'd been with the district. She's been there, God, 10,
Maybe even longer than that, Councillor Smith.
you know what I mean? And there was a connection indirectly back to Poos, Ray went to school here and blah, blah, blah. So that's what,
But there's a lot of connections to a lot of people.
We can
I
send
know.
flowers all the time.
Yeah.
We can send flowers to Fred.
yes, we did, we were going to, but he didn't want
He didn't
flowers.
want flowers.
He didn't want
He wanted the donation to the care home or seniors.
Well, I've been checking my checking card. From me.
I don't know, it seems like we could spend an awful lot of money on flowers for a lot of people.
I think if it's
As a
mayor and
village?
council,
Yeah.
then fine. But don't buy me flowers because I really don't like flowers.
She's allergic to them.
There's one Sandy's desk.
Chris.
Thanks. Sandy and I were just talking, we do have some language about flowers in one of the policies, and we're pretty sure it actually is just for staff and direct members of council. You guys control that, so it's just one of council's policies, and we'll send flowers to whoever council decides.
I could see previous mayors or previous councilors, yes.
Okay, well, we haven't sent him, so if you want to retro,
Up to
No,
you
we've
guys.
already, I'm sure you've already asked her. So now the village
I
can't
just
go back
asked,
on
I
its
didn't
word.
say anything about flowers, I just asked when her service was, when the service and stuff was, and it's not until the end of January, so.
I just thought that
Well, we just can't go back on our word on this one, but for now on,
What's the limit that you wanna send?
What are they costing now?
what do we normally?
50 and 60 bucks.
Yeah, it's between 50 and 75 usually by the time we're done.
Okay. Then that's fine. Okay, all in favor? Okay, nothing else on here? There's some on here. Oh, the contract, Chris, does that now say the Village of Poughkeepsie on it? Not just the library?
The library one? Good question. I haven't followed up on that item. in a bit.
Because it says complete.
Was this wording that's supposed to be changed?
Yeah, it was supposed to be changed to the Village of Poughkeepsie
Let me
and the
double
library,
check
not
that.
just the library. Because,
You're talking about the old library contract.
yeah, and we were to
Did
do a
change
new
the
one?
wording?
Oh, no, sorry, the old library contract, your worship, that was, if you're talking about the contract for the
Community center.
the community center library, that one, yeah, that
She's
one.
talking about
The one
with the
here.
Poughkeepsie Community Church, right?
No, I'm talking about our actual library.
Oh, we haven't
Because-
done anything with that yet.
Okay.
No, this was
Because I
the
want,
old,
when that's done, I want to make sure that
this
the
was the
village-
one for Poughkeepsie Community Church to
Oh,
use the old library, the
Oh,
renewal of his
Yeah, I
contract.
the village has to be in that agreement.
Yeah, because that was a big kind of a gong show thing when we were doing the negotiations on the
Yeah, no, we
library.
haven't done
Yeah,
it.
we weren't a party, yeah, we went back and forth a couple of times with Mike.
And when does that
Meaden on it.
contract come up? I thought we were,
I don't remember where.
I thought you were supposed to contact Mike and,
And we have been back and
Back
forth
and
a number of times with some revisions, I don't remember whose
Oh, you
desk it's
last
sitting
week.
on.
Because you called here last week for you. I told you by yourself.
No, he never reached out to me, might have been about that, we'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
Chris, did you find out for the Encana Event Center what the village contributes? And I know, it must be coming
Close to
close.
being an end of our taxing.
Yeah,
it will always be on our tax thing.
Yeah, I did ask, Lyle Smith, the CFO of the PRRD, about that by email. I haven't got a response on it yet.
Of course. Because, you know, it's funny that they have, like, I know the Dawson Creek runs it, the Encana Center. But they had an anniversary thing and they had the regional district there. And they didn't include, you know, the other
Very
contributors.
rarely does Dawson Creek acknowledge Goose Scoopy. Very rarely.
And so that's what brought it up that, you know, what I mean, how much longer do we have to contribute and. Yeah.
With Blair on council, Blair actually goes out of his way and comes up and shakes my hand and talks to me, and things might change.
I sent that to Lyle on November 29th.
And something else you wanted Lyle to speak to me over, he never did. I can't remember what that was. There's something, how something worked.
Now that you say that, Your Worship, I remember having a conversation with him and saying, when you were at the next meeting, ask Mayor McKinney about this, but I'm drawing a blank on what that is.
I can't remember.
No, I can't remember off the top of my head.
I don't know. Next time. Okay. Capital special projects. Anybody see anything? In my list to go. Do we have any special projects? Did I lose it? Sandy double-sided it. Oh!
Well, then your agenda would look like this.
I know. I know. I just think about Wilma when she does our income taxes, she double-sides something and I gotta check everything. And it's like,
We're saving you money.
oh, I know, that's fine. Yeah. Saving's good. Always good. Oh, I lost it again. Okay, so we did the skate new entrance sign. We're just gonna keep the old one and just have it cleaned up
We saved $20,000.
and save $20,000. Chris, you found more skate grants.
Yeah. Andy and I have sent out grant applications for 2 more. One for 50 and one for a little over 200,000.
And did you get the email from Selena Robinson on all those different things she's giving them? I emailed it to you, I think today, or yesterday, maybe,
I'll have to go back and look.
from the desk of Selena Robinson. It's Ma X something. It's the beginning of the email.
Can I go to that 911 center to her?
Okay. If I may, Your Worship, just a comment on a couple of these. I did have lunch with Katrin from Urban Systems on Friday. She apologizes that she didn't get from you guys for the boundary extension meeting. I reported to council on a couple of CAO reports. We were gonna try and get that done in December.
Mhm.
But since she's doing the planning job for PRRD right now, she's super busy, so she asked for council's forgiveness and patience on that. She hasn't lost sight of it, but she's learning.
What did she need reference for?
A plan she was doing for First Nations community, a strategic plan for them, yeah, and wanted to talk to somebody who they worked with for a strategic plan previously. I offered to do it too, but I said I can't speak to that planning, but I'd be happy to give you a reference for the planning you've done for us now, so. Yeah, that's it. It's crazy.
So nobody sees anything here? No. So the land acquisition, how's that going?
Last I heard from those folks, the seller, who's the donator, really, their lawyer was on vacation until the new year, so it's on hold.
Okay, so can you take the completes off of here?
In the new year we can.
Number 19.
It looks so good.
Number 19 was land
likes that-
acquisition.
he likes that
Inside
word.
the
Yeah.
We'll have a new list in the new year for you.
No, sorry, that land acquisition, you work with the 1 year is for the fire hall.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh,
that's not
that's
a donation.
Okay.
okay, so that, you don't have the land acquisition one.
No, that wasn't one of the capital special projects, that was after the fact.
That was an after.
That's a donation,
That's a
that's not, we're not buying
donation.
that.
That land was 105,000?
No. We budgeted 105, I got it for 92.
Oh, okay.
It was that. McScrooge.
How much?
92.
McScrooge.
The one across the street?
2 lots. 2 lots? 3.
3 lots.
3 lots. Highway robbery.
Okay.
That's why I call him Mr. McScrooge.
Actually, that was fair for all parties. We took the appraised value and added 2% for inflation, because the appraisal was from 2015, so it was fair to us and fair to the seller.
Miss Donna White, do you have a report?
No, I
Calendar?
went to,
Oh, I don't. I don't remember
I
that.
went to the funeral, already, and then I attended the library's Christmas party.
Okay, Sandy, you have something?
Council calendars.
Calendar.
Oh, can't skip, we
12.4.
we totally skipped that one.
You know what?
Well, it's Christmas. It's winter begins, it's New Year's, it's Christmas Day, Boxing Day, close day. There we go, done. Done. We have nothing. Okay, everybody's gonna enjoy their Christmas, okay? We're not gonna have any issues, no emergencies, nothing. The village is gonna have a very, very Merry Christmas.
You just work. There's probably wood
Here.
somewhere.
Is that a command?
This is headquarters speaking. Not like last year, I got a phone call that a poor lady's water line broke and she
Yeah.
couldn't get a hold of anybody.
That
And
was all
I had to
over
call
Christmas.
Bud out and I felt so bad. Oh.
It was -30 this time last year.
She had kids and she was cooking New Year's dinner. Oh, I just felt so bad for her. Anyway, this year it's not gonna happen. We're gonna have a perfect Christmas, New Year's.
Awesome.
Awesome. So Donna, you can finish your report now. Counselor Smith.
Donna and I had a good trip up and back
Yeah, we
to Taylor. It was a packed event.
Oh my
Speed
God.
limit?
She did the speed limit.
Oh, Bart drove.
Barbara.
Oh, of course, Bart.
Well, yeah, well, you know me, I fly. You taught me.
So, I have been attending the South Peace Health Council Society. We're still working on our terms of reference. It is a registered society right now. So we have purchased the Botris house. And we do have, anyway, as a society, we have nothing to do with municipalities. So I sit on that board as a resident of Poos. It has nothing to do with mayors or council. But I would like to continue on sitting in there because we can do some big things in there. So I'm just heads up that the regional district can partake, but as a municipality, because of the Society Act, we have to be at an arm's length.
There's no conflict of interest there?
No, because what I'm doing, sitting on as one of the trustees, is just look at where we get money and stuff like that, and it's not coming from the village Poos unless I bring it to a council meeting. Shaylee Wilbur sits, she's the chair, and she's doing the same thing.
And you would be her alternate. That's what's on the portfolio.
And I do believe that I'm your alternate.
The thing is, we have an issue with that, because as an alternate,
Who doesn't live in the village?
no,
It doesn't matter.
I'm
if you're not
signing
in the village.
authority in the society.
It doesn't matter,
You were
anybody can
assigned.
represent.
Yes, I'm on initially part of the purchasing of the house and that, they needed ID and blah, 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 blah. So I think you should come to a meeting with me
I would
and,
love to.
and hear, think the potential. Yeah, sounds good, Ken. If anybody can think of anybody else that they would like to suggest to put their name forward for this society, I have put Sarah Kuczynski, on my gaming manager, on there. She's going to attend, to be part of the society. She's a go-getter. She has connections with the gaming for grants, etc. And she's good at fundraising. And also I'm looking at my dentist, and I can't remember his name. He's from India, and he's only been here 2-3 years, but in India, he went out and did volunteer work, health issues and dental issues out in India. And if he sits on that board, it's a different perspective, and he's got his medical background as a dentist. We want about 20 people on this.
You should also get Sherry to get Dr. Magdal.
Okay, but those names have to be put forward to Shay if you want to send her an email with that name.
Because she
So-
wants to open up the 3rd floor of the hospital for seniors.
Okay, so anyway, just if you, anybody can think of names that they think to put forward, because we have First Nations participating. It's awesome. I'm really happy. I know, I'm just throwing that out there. Possibly there could be me coming to the meeting saying, could we adopt a room like by the bed,
Yeah.
the linen, you know, that kind of stuff, but we're not that far yet. We're still working on our, it's a place for people to stay,
If they got cancer or,
you know,
or
or
have a baby or.
from Port Nelson. Yeah,
Oh, it's back, they're trying to back it like the quarterback, right? They're trying to, well, when I went to the meetings, they were monitoring it at like the quarterback. So you only pay so much. Okay,
It's
then.
like our Ronald McDonald type.
yeah, similar, yeah. And we really do need something like that, because we have a lot of people that are out in the,
Well,
yeah.
they, Fort St. John's, hotel rates have skyrocketed. So they're coming like from Fort Nelson, they're coming down here to Dawson Creek and staying in our hotel. Because it's cheaper here in Dawson than it is in Fort St. John. So the people that are having babies or cancer or whatever need chemo, not radiation, can come to this and stay. Are you done, Barbie?
Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Hubert.
Oh, thank you. Earlier last week, I was invited by the museum to go out to Joe Trombley's for a steak barbecue. It was very, very nice. Awesome bunch of people. I enjoyed the evening immensely.
Especially the steak.
Yes.
That man can cook, holy cow.
Oh, man, there's a lot of it cooks up there.
Yeah.
Val, yes. It was awesome. That's it.
That's it?
That's all I did.
You didn't go to the councillor staff party or?
Oh, that was, of
Yeah, I
course,
forgot about that.
It's
6.
the 6th, isn't
Yeah.
And the guy that didn't have us all seated together gets
Yeah.
another lump of coal in the stove.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was a second table. When, as everybody's in there sat down.
So we have, Ken, you weren't there, were you there? No, you weren't.
No.
That's right, because we were also talking about other things that you were gonna be doing. We've decided that Sandy and myself will be planning the Christmas party next year because Chris failed horribly. Didn't have the 2 tables tables put together.
Goes on
So-
as official review.
Mhm.
Yes.
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 There's a demerit.
So me and Sandy were talking and yeah, we're
Like I said, I didn't even know there was a second table until I heard you. Oh, I'm supposed to be sitting over there.
not even lying.
No.
So next year we're gonna rent the actual room. So we're all.
You don't have to rent it, you just use that room.
Oh, then just use that room. We're all together and
And we're gonna do a couple of games.
games and, cause it was
Games.
just.
Yes,
Games.
yes.
Oh, they were fun, the games were fun.
No, I was keeping the staff amused.
Yeah, you were.
Everybody had a good time.
Oh, yeah, they did.
The only complaint was that we couldn't
Couldn't
all
talk.
sit together, right? And at first, we were supposed to be 30 people, so.
I thought it was early.
Who didn't come? There was
Um,
quite a few people didn't come.
Donna? didn't
no,
know?
actually, it was just Donna Cook didn't come with her husband, and Ken and his wife.
That Ken. Just never show up at anything.
We had to excuse him, he wasn't in town.
It's excuse him. We got lots of plans for him now.
That's all I did all day with the last meeting was second.
Councilor Drover.
Yes, it was with regrets that we were unable to attend the dinner of December 6th. However, I am pleased to let council know that in the next week, my wife and I would be more than happy to go out for dinner and submit as part of our.
Oh, I thought you were inviting us for dinner. I thought you were inviting us to dinner.
Oh, no, a nice romantic dinner for my wife and I. Other than that, it's been really busy, trying to get things.
Are things picking up out there, Ken?
Let's not talk about work right now.
Let's do
Is that a bad thing or a good thing? Tell me.
It's unusually warm. It was +5 today. And I believe this time last year it was -30. It's a huge difference in temperature. Anyway, with with regards to work that's upcoming, I can't speak to it. I'm there for the safety department and ensuring everyone is ready to go. But with regards to getting the work and assigning the work, or when the work comes, that is totally out of my realm. So I have no idea. I'm just as much surprised as the guys when they get called, so.
Okay, I just thought.
Yeah, no. I can't answer that part. We did have an opportunity to meet with, who was it yesterday? Our
Mr. Zimmer?
Bob
Zimmer.
Zimmer, yeah. So I went twice to his office and he wasn't there, so I said, my time is pretty valuable too, and I left.
1:30 to 1:30. He was there.
So, yeah, early bird didn't get the worm there. So, I think that's about it with regards to any sort of official function.
Okay, so the mayor, she went to the staff party that Sandy's going to be doing next year. I didn't go to Fred Jarvis's funeral. And I went, and I didn't do the air ambulance because I was sick that day. Mayor, I also attended the NCLGA Board of Directors luncheon. It was a 5-course meal. They actually, Dawn, if you could believe this, they cooked the venison for me, and I ate it. It tasted like beef.
Well, if they do it right, it does.
Oh my God, it was so good. And then I went to the PERD and you guys received the emails that the meeting was about. And Chris, you sent that, right?
I just said the one, the Caribou one, 10 minutes before the meeting.
Okay, and then Bob Zimmer, I attended, handed him a Christmas card, talked to him for a few minutes, and then had to go. And then I'm here at the council meeting, and that is it. That is done.
Did we send a card to Jarvis at the village, or, because when I put mine on there, I put it from Marion.
You know, the basket
Sandy?
cards.
We didn't do a card, we did a donation to his, they did it through the funeral home online.
We did that.
Those are
We
Sandy,
doubled it.
those are Sandy questions. That ain't the mayor's questions.
Okay.
So, I'd like to, wish everybody a Merry Christmas within the village.
In camera? Oh, sorry.
Within the village, and, everybody have a Happy New Year. And anybody else have anything to say? Merry Christmas! And I will have a motion. Good night, guys.
I make the motion that council adjourn to in camera.
It's from Courtney.
You what?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. See ya. We made a motion to go into in-camera?
Yeah.
Under section 90.1G of community charter.